I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delighted to introduce you to a wonderful author. His name is Kent Cooper, and we are going to take a deep dive into the high-stakes world of business with a look at his book called What's the Plan, Man? A brief guide to mergers and acquisitions, high-end business brokerage, and commercial real estate. The author brings decades of experience to the table, offering invaluable insights into the complexities of business sales, and commercial real estate, particularly for baby boomers navigating retirement and exit strategies. His book is a treasure trove of knowledge, from practical case studies to essential tips for sellers. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Kent, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to be here.
This is quite a title. You obviously know a lot about the business, having been in the business world for 40 years plus. Have you seen the landscape of mergers and acquisitions, as well as commercial real estate, evolve and change over the years? And is that what inspired you to write this book?
Well, yes. The economy goes in ebbs and flows. You have good times economy, you have slow times like we have right now due to a lot of pressures. But I wrote a book. I've sold hundreds of businesses in commercial real estate, and I see some common elements of several of them that really make a meaningful, proper sale in a business, and those that are a little bit lacking. And so I wanted to kind of write a book that kind of talked about some of the ideas of getting ready to sell your business. I mean, some statistics I found, 70% of the businesses in the lower middle market, which is my target, are owned by baby boomers that are going to be retiring in the next 10 years. 70%. That's 70% of almost 350 million businesses in the lower middle market. That's a significant number. Exactly. There's going to have to be somebody like myself, and there's a lot of advisors like myself that are very highly qualified. They have to help guide them through this process. So I wrote this book kind of hoping some of these guys would look at my book and kind of take aim at what I'm saying in it for their businesses.
These business owners, these entrepreneurs have spent a lifetime, in many cases,
yes,
building a business, building a brand, adding value to it. And now comes a time where they're looking to do something else, spend time at the beach or what have you. And they need to know how to value their assets and value their business properly. So what are some of the challenges that you address in the book that baby boomers should know when they are considering a retirement?
Well, the first thing is, if you truly are in the process of trying to develop an exit plan, you want to sell your business. You don't have any children to give the business to or anybody else, so you're going to have to sell the business. That's basically, and that's why you start a business, for two reasons. Number one, for current income. Number two, to build a business that someday you'll be able to sell for a profit. And that's where I come in. So what I'm seeing is that a lot of these guys, I can't stress enough the importance of proper accounting. That's the killer in these deals.
Yeah.
So many businesses I talk, especially in the lower end, not the higher end, but the lower end, have accounting problems. They don't have adequate people that are doing the bookkeeping, or they're doing it themselves, or they started the business and they never changed and never upgraded their accounting systems.
And an investment in a CPA,
yes,
while costly perhaps at first, will wind up reaping them huge benefits down the road when it comes to tax strategies and so forth, don't you think?
Yes, and I see another problem, though, is a lot of smaller business owners kind of mix their personal life with their business life in the expense world. For instance, so many profit and loss statements I've seen people have their home mortgages that they're expensing.
Yeah.
Or they have a boat that they're expensing, or they're having some other trip, perhaps to Europe or Asia, that they're expensing through their business. These personal expenses, although you can lower your tax amount on your profit and loss statement because you call it an expense. You're hurting yourself because you're not showing the true profit of the business.
Hmm.
If you separate those out, and many times I have to do adjustments. A guy, looking at his profit loss statement, he's got like 5% net income where he should be closer to 20. And I start asking him questions about, salaries and this. And a lot of guys have their wife in there with a salary that they don't even come to work.
Yeah, exactly. So they're
there's a lot of that
lowering
kind
the
of weird
value
stuff.
of their business by not showing a profit. They might be perhaps saving on taxes by doing that, but in the long run, they're diminishing the value of their business. So keeping
Absolutely.
your personal expenditures and your professional business expenditures separate is great
Yes,
advice, wouldn't you say?
absolutely. It's a crucial if you're going to value business. I mean, the heartbeat of a business is the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet. If it's the only thing you have is like the report card for the business.
Right.
If it's not a good report card, then people would say, "Well, I don't really have an interest in that business."
Exactly.
That's where it is.
And as far as even continuing the business, getting more financing, getting
Yes,
investors, if you want to grow your business, if you're showing that you're constantly in the red or
right.
close to it, you're not going to generate much interest from
Yeah.
lenders. That's for sure. Tell me, what are the key factors that business owners often overlook when valuing their business or commercial real estate?
They're two different areas. Okay, commercial real estate basically is completely non-emotional aspect of business. It should be just, and I'm talking about business return on equity or commercial real estate, not necessarily owner-occupied buildings, because a lot of owner-occupied buildings kind of reflect the owner's desire to have a nice ambiance for customers, that kind of thing. So, but if you're looking at investment product of commercial real estate, it should be non-emotional. There are published cap rates that you should buying commercial properties at. You should look at the financials of commercial property and determine if it's a real financial statement. A lot of guys will put extra expenses in or not report important expenses that make the NOI, net operating income, look higher than it is. On the business side of things, you get a little bit more motion put into it because you have an owner that's built this business over 20 or 30 years, and that's the average time that I'm selling some of these businesses, 20, 30, 40 years even. They put a lot of their self in there. They build their management team that's around them. So there's a culture that's created there. And that culture is important for a new buyer as well. If they can't blend into that culture, then they're going to have a problem with the purchase. A lot of this happens with a lot of foreign buyers, I see, because they buy a good operating company and they try to take it over management, and there's a big culture clash there that just ultimately is bad for the business.
Exactly. There has to be a smooth transition there, often bringing over managers, at least for a short amount of time, or even the owner to help with that transition is vital, of a vital importance, I would presume.
Yeah,
Tell me,
I comment on that. Private equity groups are my primary buyers. Private equity groups and family offices for the lower middle market. That's what they're tagging. And those are businesses from $1 million in EBITDA to about 25 million in EBITDA. That's their target market. The reason they're doing that is the middle market, which is above the lower middle market. And let's make some definitions real quick. Lower middle market is defined as businesses that have gross revenues between about 5 million to about 50 million. Middle market businesses start at 50 million to about 200 million, and which also includes upper middle market, they call it. And then above that, you start looking at public companies. Okay. So what's happened is a lot of these private equity firms are pulling money out of the stock market. Okay. They have lots of money to invest in profitable businesses. And the reason is the stock market is only returning 5, 7.5, maybe 10 tops. Okay. Whereas a business that you buy as a private equity firm is going between 15 and 20% earnings.
exactly.
You're also paying a multiple on the private businesses between about 3 and 5 times earnings. But public companies are paying 10 to 30 times earnings. There's a big correlation there. That's why private equity firms have gone down and started looking for $1 million EBITDAs and up.
In your book, you stress the importance of hiring a broker or intermediary. What are the top qualities a business owner should look for when hiring that broker or intermediary?
Well, number one is experience. And with experience comes the need for education. Uh, as you know, I have multiple certifications as a professional merger and acquisitions professional. I think those are important because those are educational tags, but they're also experience tags that show that I've done some proper business in the past that other people can appreciate. So I think M&A brokers or even commercial brokers like myself need to have certain certifications because it proves that they've been there and they've done it.
Yeah.
The biggest credential in commercial real estate, of course, is the CCIM designation. Okay. The biggest designation in business brokerage is the certified business intermediary. The largest certification in the M&A world, which is where I am, really is a merger and acquisitions master intermediary, is which I am. So I mean, credentials really speak well of someone that is qualified to help that seller find a proper buyer.
Absolutely. Credentials matter, and Ken Cooper has a lot of them. And he is the man who has actually written the book on it all. It is called What's the Plan, Man? A Brief Guide to Mergers and Acquisitions, High-End Business Brokerage, and Commercial Real Estate. It is a must-read for anyone who is involved in business, interested in business, owns a business, is thinking about selling their business, is hoping to leverage their business. There's tons of advice to unpack here, and you'll be learning from the best in the business. Ken, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.